Today on Nova Legends podcast, I have Patriot Coach Sherman Rivers, whose Pioneers are back in the state final again, and just had a huge win against Oscar Smith. Coach, congratulations. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me on again. Means that we're doing something good, right?
Yeah, you got to win games to get this podcast. Come on now, I ain't playing around. So, first of all, let's talk about the road to the final. When you played for Patriot, when you played for Potomac, it was hard to get to the state final. You had long road trips. You had dogfights. So you'd have 50-50 games where you may win, you may not win. Usually Potomac found a way to win. But the road to the final was very hard. It was hard. One of the reasons why is that the teams from the Tidewater and Richmond, they all were in the same class, in the highest classifications. So you just had many tougher teams that we had to deal with. Is the fact that it's not as tough now. You guys haven't been in the 50-50 since in a while. The teams that you've beaten, you had to play well to win, but you have a better team, and you think you're favored to win, even though you still have to do it. Does it make it any more meaningful the way it is now? Any less meaningful the way it's organized now? And did it mean more back when you played to get to a state final than it does today?
I'm not going to say that it meant more. I think that it was definitely a little bit more arduous as far as like your journey, because the amount of really good teams that were in AAA, because it basically was all the teams that are sprinkled between like 3 and 6 at this point that are all the top teams, if you really think about it. So, and then, obviously with the region that we were in, we had to travel all the way out to Roanoke and play with the William Flemings and then play teams like GW Danville at Lynchburg College. So, yeah, our road has been a little bit different than, say, like the Fairfax and Arlington schools the last couple of years. I know that this year, they finally had to play somebody outside of their zip code. But, the last 2 years we've had to play, obviously Oscar Smith twice. We've had to play Lansdowne. Madison, even though record-wise might not have looked like they were great on paper, they're a really tough basketball team to play in a tournament-style game where you don't have a whole lot of time to prepare for what they're going to do.
Even though you're better, you still got to win the game.
Right. So, it's you can say those things. It's a real reason why I like to play all the different type of teams we play throughout the regular season, just so our guys get that sort of feel. Everybody's asking me what our plan is for travel, and I was like, well, we'll just go the same day. We've done it twice already this year, getting on a charter bus and having to make a trip to go play a game. So it's not going to be something that's different for our kids, because we try to put them in all different types of situations, be prepared for whatever may come by the end of the year. So, I don't think it's obviously I think it was a little bit more difficult, but at the same time, it doesn't take away from it, because you still enjoy the fact that you're in the state championship game playing at VCU.
Yeah. You're doing all you can do. You can't you can't decide who you play, and you can't do all that. One thing you don't have to do is when you play, you had the double headers. So we had these great fours. So you go down there and you play, and sometimes you'd have to stay. If it was in Lynchburg, you couldn't do a day trip for both games. If it was in Charlottesville, teams could do day trips or maybe even Richmond. You miss the double headers on a Thursday or Friday night, and then if you win that game, you come back and play Saturday.
Listen, it'd be great if they went back to that. That's one part that, having the Final Four at one venue and, making the trip and being like, well, if we win, we stay the night, we get to play again, here at this point. So that was fun. I enjoyed that, obviously going in back-to-back years as a high school player. 1 year going to Liberty University and the next year going to the Scope down Norfolk. So, but, the powers that be, that's probably not going to happen. It's too much money involved. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. Well, let's talk a little bit about your seniors. Now, you went to William & Mary, and you played in the Colonial. I believe it was still a Colonial. So you had some really meaningful games. But the way college sports are now, and this for a lot of players, this is the last time they're going to play in front of a crowd like this. Even if you play Division III, you're going to play in front of a couple hundred people on most occasions. This is the last time these guys are going to be on the stage this big. I I don't think players realize that. Does that kind of make you sad? This is kind of your last go around with these kids in the last. You've been with these kids for 3 years. In the last time these kids are going to be on a stage this big, most likely.
I mean, it's always, it can be a little bit anticlimactic because, this is why I always tell our kids and, that listen, really enjoy the journey, enjoy the season, enjoy the bus trips, enjoy the times in the locker room, enjoy these days getting up for practice or us having music on and us being fools. Those are things you're going to remember because it's over and within the blink of an eye. It seems like, it's just like yesterday when we just started practice and you're talking about the guys that have been with us for a while. I mean, Isaiah and Desmond have been with us since they were ninth graders, seeing how they've matured and grown as men this senior class. And, it's going to, I really hope for them that it ends on a positive note because of just the amount of time that they put in and the things that they've been able to do in their careers. And it would be nice for them to finish it off with the ultimate goal of winning the state championship.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many players that they ended up going to the college that they played at in the state title game. I know Tim Fudd. It might have been a state semifinal, but that's where Americans saw him. You can't
I
really.
got to play. I got to play college games at the Scope, and I had already played games there as a high school kid.
Yeah, yeah,
So that's
yeah,
because when
yeah.
we would play against Old Dominion, that's where they used to play their home games at.
I remember waiting outside to get into that Scope game and lying around the Scope trying to get in there because they only had one person taking tickets. Like you were there, you were in there playing in the warm. I was out in the cold trying to get in. Have you learned anything from this team? Did they make you a better coach?
Absolutely. Every year, kids help you. They make you a better coach. It's so funny the navigation of the season, and everybody's asking, how are you going to really take from the first game when you played them? And there'll be some things, but there's so much stuff that you learn throughout the year about your team, what we can do really well, the things that we might not do so great, the adjustments you make, the things you add to tweak things here because somebody's doing well at this. So every day, I'm learning how to be a better coach, not just from an X's and O's standpoint, but just from how you handle their egos and, their emotions when things are up and when things are down. And it's just every day is a learning experience.
Yeah. Well, let's get to Oscar Smith. Oscar Smith, you played them again in the semis. What did you think about the game? I know it was a dogfight at first. You end up in the end being able to pull away a little bit. But tell us about the Oscar Smith game.
I mean, listen, very good basketball team. They clearly it was a difference in personnel from the game we played with Madison and playing them. We wanted to try to keep them out of the paint is what our objective was. They came out in the first quarter and started making a bunch of jump shots, which was not necessarily something they had done at a high clip. But state game is a state game. You got good basketball teams. You got to expect to be able to make plays and we made an adjustment, obviously, going into the second quarter and was able to get a lead based off of how much we were outscored them in that quarter. And then it was a back and forth sort of affair in the third. And then we were able to, pull ahead in the fourth and win the basketball game.
Yeah. Well, you survived. What survive and advance is what they say. And now you play against South Lakes, which is exciting for Northern Virginia fans of Northern Virginia basketball. First of all, do you wish the game was at George Mason, the Patriot Center, or are you glad it's a road trip for both teams?
I'm glad it's a road trip for both teams. Like you said, Mason be right down the street for them. I feel like so.
Yeah, it would be a huge crowd there if we can get. If you
It
had,
would. It would. It would.
It'd be a lot of fun. So you played South Lakes down in Oaksville. I was there. Great atmosphere. You guys had a really good shooting night that night. South Lakes didn't handle the pressure well. They didn't shoot well. Um, when you have a game like this, when you've already played a team and you won, do you ever worry about getting complacent because you won? Is it a big advantage to have beaten them, or is it irrelevant because this is a brand new game, different circumstances?
I think it's irrelevant from our standpoint. We're still going to respect them as a very good team. This is the second year in a row that we were able to fulfill what the experts, so quote unquote experts, thought was going to be the last game of the year. So last year we were able to get through and obviously play against Hayfield, and then this year we're able to get through and play against South Lakes, where we've been 1 or 2 basically the whole year. So that's an accomplishment in itself for our kids, of course. And then, obviously the game is, they're going to have more motivation for it because of the fact that they lost the first time that we played. But it's like I said before, we're two different teams at this point than we were at that point. The personnel clearly is going to be the same for the most part, but at the same time, players have gotten better. You got other guys that are contributing that might not have been giving you stuff at that point in the year. So the scout is going to be, the scout. You got to make sure that you're prepared for what they got to bring for this game.
Yeah. Is your game plan going to be much different than it was? I guess that was in December, wasn't it? Yeah.
I mean, our game plan, we're going to be us first and foremost. So we're not going to, do things that are going to be too outside the box and get away from what makes us what we've been. But at the same time, we'll be ready for some of the things that they're doing and some of the things that they have from a personnel standpoint.
Yeah. So, one thing that happened last year is the refereeing in the state final was, to say the least, interesting. And I know there was some selection issues about who should referee the game. I don't remember exactly what happened, but I know that it didn't go the plan. The way the refs are selected didn't happen the way it usually happens. Take us through what happened last year with that, and what are you worried about the set of referees you're going to have this year?
Well, last year I wanted us to have a refereeing body that neither one of us had seen. I thought that made the most sense in that sort of game. So that was something that I had suggested, and end of the day, the game was not officiated well last year. I did not think, but it is what it is. So this year, it is whoever it is. I'm just gonna let it be. I don't have anything to say. It's a little bit different feeling going in this year. Like, we've seen all the different types of refs throughout the state. So if we're going to be prepared for it, we're going to be prepared for it regardless if it's Cardinal, Bull Run, Stafford. I don't remember what they're called. And down the beach area, I know they got a couple different refereeing bodies in Richmond. So we get what we get. I haven't even asked to check to see who it is at this point. So we're just going to worry about getting ourselves ready to play a basketball game.
Yeah. Well, Coach Mike Desmond is the coach of South Lakes. Do you like Mike? You want to beat him up and send South Lakes home crying? Is this personal to you, or when you play a friend like Mike, in the back of your mind, do you ever think, well, if I can't win it, it's nice to see a guy like Mike win it?
Oh, from a competitive standpoint, I don't want anybody to win when they're playing against us other than me. I'm not going to root for them and be like, well, if I can, at least they did. It's no, I want to win. But Mike is a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, and we talk all the time. Contrary to popular belief of people wanting us to hate each other, it's the same thing with me and Los last year. But at the end of the day, you're a competitor. You want to beat somebody, and you want to be the champ. So it's not going to be something where it's like, because we have a friendly relationship outside of basketball, that I'm rooting for him. No, I want them to lose and I want us to win. So
do you call South Lakes to your team the blue and green guys, or do you refer to them?
no, they can be the South Lake Seahawks, man. They're good to go. They outside of my realm of nicknames for teams.
Oh, that's for teams on your block.
Yeah. They've earned that treatment. So
Okay. All right. Well, Coach, thanks a lot for joining me. Sorry about the disconnect there, but best luck. I look forward to going down there and seeing it. It's going to be a great atmosphere. Hope people all make the trip down 95. It's really special to see a state championship. People who haven't seen one don't really know what they're missing. Me and you played in them, but I've seen, and I know you've seen many of them, and it's always a very special moment when
absolutely.
a new champion is crowned. It's going to be a brand new one because Hayfield is out this year. So anyway, just wish you best of luck, and I look forward to talking to you about the win, or Mike about the win.
Listen, I hope that I'm the one doing the interview after the game this time for sure.
That's right. All right, and right. Get your teammates, get your players as well. But anyway, Coach, again, good luck, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, Julian, appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Man. Take care, bud. Take care. Bye.